Hey guys, Kevin Cage back with another cryptocurrency update. Welcome to the channel. Like and subscribe if you're serious about the digital asset space. And let's get right into it today. One take and uncut. We will be talking about the foreign exchange market again. $5.1 trillion per day in volume. We will be talking about CLS, how they're already connected to Ripple. We will be talking about Accenture, one of the first investors in Ripple, also supporting the DLT transformations and, just overall digital transformations for also Swift, R3, and many other banks around the world. We're going to be going over some additional new pieces of news that just came out with Ripple, so stay tuned, like this video, and let's get right into the information today. I'll try to keep it short and sweet, but I do have a lot of points to cover, so be patient with me. All right, so right here, this article shared by Rule XRP, this is Accenture and Ripple, the journey to real-time cross-border commercial payments using DLT. So this is back from 2016. So keep that in mind. Let me take a quick sip of water here. Now, there's a few points I wanted to show you guys. Now, we understand recently, it used to be the top 40, 50 banks. Now it's, actively working with 50 central banks around the globe. This is Ripple. Now, what we can see here is this. We see, government interest. We see, real transfer of money with a consortium of banks back in the day, DLT talking about the benefits. It's not just settlement, but settlement is basically the very key for all of this to work and function and be the most, operationally efficient, if that makes sense. All right, so we understand XRP is at the very bottom of this payment stack. We know that this is the only way to get rid of these pre-funded accounts around the globe, or at least free some of the capital, all right, in terms of liquidity requirements. Now, what we can see here is this. These banks are drawn from the top 50 banks globally, broadly configured to enable wide geographic reach with one bank per geography, each with access to local clearing systems. Now, in my previous video, if you have not seen it, I was just kind of using an analogy. This is a game of chess. This is chess, not checkers. This is true global domination for settlements. Now, XRP is not going to solve everything, but it's my bet that they will have a huge piece of this pie in tandem with the XRP ledger and interledger protocol to truly solve the settlement issue, specifically with, international use cases and cross-border payments and remittance. But it does not mean that XRP can't also be a bridge asset for some domestic use cases if there's different walled garden tokens. Again, it's a bridge asset. It'll bridge any tokenized value in the future, and we are just getting started with the Internet of Value, but I do believe that we will see some big things ahead by end of year, guys. 2020, remember, it is called the year of the digital asset. With so much happening in terms of economic uncertainty, I just don't think we can rule anything out. So that is all I am saying. So right here, basically just kind of emphasizing it's not as hard because it is software rollout. It says these banks are ready to go. Guys, this is in 2016. They're preparing internally. They're setting their strategy, working together, defining their scheme. Their approach is agile. The framework for a scheme is in place. They will fill in the details as the network they launch grows. All right, we can see the pace of change in payments accelerating with all of the new tech as well. Now, pay attention to the next few points I want to make. Again, we understand the benefits of a 24/7 real-time domestic payment system. All right, instead of just, going through the week, we understand the importance of standardization and interoperability and why high volume is very likely in due time to go over the XRP ledger. All right, so right here, the Ripple Enterprise solution is mature enough to launch and scale a cross-border payments network. No surprise, literally like the highest valued private company to come out of Silicon Valley ever. We have them partnered with all these Goldman Sachs groups. If you guys think this is just some small company that became successful and got a lot of funding, I don't know what to tell you. This is, you can kind of see this was written by design from the start. Right? And a consortium of banks is forming to use the Ripple technology to keep ahead of the competition. And pay attention right here. All right, and again, we can see 24/7 transparent and efficient cross-border payment networks. Right here, global trade runs at about $24 trillion per year. This is not going to migrate to a new commercial payments network overnight or even over 5 years, and the degree of migration will be dependent on competition from other alternatives. It will take time. A new payment network needs to be designed to be ready to launch and scale steadily. It does not need to be designed before launch for full volumes and full participation. These can be evolved over time. Right? The market is absolutely massive. I have not seen a single thing that truly concerns me and makes me wonder if, we are not in the right asset class. For me, crypto assets and the top precious metals, it's, no question. All right, and time will simply tell. All right, so next up, I wanted to go over this briefly before we get into the news. So right here, guys, High Technological XRP Bull shared this. So again, we've talked about Finality, guys, another kind of utility settlement token between these groups of banks. A lot of them are RippleNet partners, so no surprise there. And I want to talk about something with the article. You know, I've explained in depth and detail why these are not direct competition to anything like XRP. So again, you guys can see that previous video if you'd like. But right here, a few things caught my eye. So one of their use cases, of course, is kind of like XRP for interbank payments between their own network, okay, because it's still a walled garden, not because we've had a better route, but simply to prove that things work. That's kind of an interesting quote. Excuse me. Now, when asked whether Finality would take some transactions away from Forex central counterparty CLS, continuous link settlement, guys, absolute behemoth. Now, this is one of, the main partners in terms of the network today for international payments, at least for the foreign exchange market, was keen to emphasize that Finality is not aiming to compete with incumbents such as CLS. The purpose is to enable on-chain payments. Now, these groups, CLS, with DLT and disintermediation, getting rid of the middlemen, this is a concern for them, especially, for groups that, are potentially for profit. Now, this makes me wonder, what groups are going to be doing to stay relevant during this time. Now, another point I wanted to show you is check this out. So talking about pooling liquidity, guys. So since 1992, securities settlement in Switzerland via this kind of CCOM system has used instant payments with the same pool of cash as the main interbank payment system. SIC. Historical statistics show that on a normal day, a Swiss franc is turned over 50 times a day, demonstrating the benefits of instant settlement combined with pooled liquidity. All right. Remember, a global pool, especially a multi-currency digital bridge asset with high liquidity, maybe something called on-demand liquidity, would resolve this issue. And what you have to think about is interoperability, scalability, how many payments it can do, how fast it can kind of scale and grow, the security, the actual governance of the network. So there's, no worries and issues of trust, and even counterparty risk and the middlemen. All of this is resolved with distributed ledger technology on the XRP ledger itself. This is something that I believe, many more groups are actually backing, at least the higher level ones, under NDAs. And I believe that the typical people, high level in finance, are just kind of kept, one foot in the door. They don't really have any clue. And it's very, very vague. They may have heard of DLT, maybe the subset. They've heard of blockchain. They understand it might be a big thing. And some groups are, doing it for record keeping. But there's a lot more going on. All right, so now in terms of CLS, guys, so groups like this, what kind of volume does CLS do? So we understand foreign exchange market, $5.1 trillion, massive market. Okay, this is a daily volume, by the way. So you guys can do the math. If you want to, imagine 250 business days, you get it. Quite large, all right? Over $1 quadrillion. Now, CLS, this fluctuates, okay? So CLS trading activity, June 2018, we can see was $1.899 trillion in some time, so anywhere well over 1.5 trillion to 2 trillion. And as we can see here, even CLS right here, in March 2017, CLS actually increased and was settling just over 50% of global foreign exchange transactions. Right, we can see settles 18 currencies. We have some shareholders, 66 members, 24,000 third-party clients. Various currencies here as well. So it's really, really interesting, kind of seeing their growth and how they're going. And the single-day record value settled is $11 trillion. That is insane. All right, so now, let me see what I'm missing. So CLS, guys, again, continuous link settlement. We understand, look, owned by its member banks and operates as an industry utility like SWIFT. Remember, we've shown the documents as well with NTT data. Now, what you have to understand is this. RippleNet partner, Finastra, a technology provider also for the RTP systems, no surprise, in tandem with, ACI Worldwide, $14 trillion a day in settlement, along with, Volante. Now, Finastra, with the top, as I say, the top 48 of the 50 banks in the world are already connected, okay? And they're RippleNet. It's all about integration. Clicks, of course, they can start off with messaging, but the next layer is settlement, which is on-demand liquidity, all right? So as long as they incentivize the market makers over time, liquidity is growing. You can theoretically, utilize XRP to settle at any point. But if there's not enough liquidity in the system, it might not make sense. Maybe you want to use Xcurrent or Swift GPI. You have to see the savings. So for each payment, you have to kind of see the options. Is it better just using the Swift legacy network because there's not a better alternative in the payments and the spread isn't quite there yet? Or, maybe the messaging and we can use Swift GPI or X current, and then over due time, you'll see that more, type of corridors for on-demand liquidity that are enabled will actually have that option. So it will be a slow and steady takeover in that regard. Now, don't get me started on, the whole talks about potential price sets and, bull runs, increasing liquidity, and those having a flywheel effect, because those are, very possible as well. But at this point, we're at 20 cents, so we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But at the end of the day, guys, CLS partnered with Finastra. CLS is already enabled, it's called Global Pay Plus. This is their payments platform of Finastra, and guess what? This is integrated with Ripple directly. This is well known in the XRP community. And so just to understand that these behemoths are connected at a simple click of the button really makes you think. All right, next up. So again, Michael Val5Links, thank you for sharing this. Again, guys, another example of DLT adoption. So Cambodia's central bank, again, a central bank, will launch a distributed ledger technology network to enable interoperability in the country's payment sector. I was kind of reading through this. Doesn't seem like anything with digital assets per se, but again, another example of DLT. Right here, Leonidas, guys, please follow this gentleman. Again, xrparcade.com. So we can see W3EX exchange lists XRP. So another exchange, as always. According to the announcement, users can trade XRP with Tether, but Bitcoin trading is also available. We can see W3X is based in Australia, but is regulated in Singapore. It provides one-stop crypto services, such as over-the-counter trading. Now, I'm really happy that Binance US now offers OTC trading as well. So again, if you guys want to, if your state allows you to make an account, highly recommended. Again, one of the best regulators. I've kind of shown you what I do with limit trades in the past in one of my videos at the end, so be sure to check that out as well. All right, crypto exchange margin trading, and guys, I'm not endorsing this exchange. I just wanted to show you, another exchange listing. All right, right here, Arturo Portilla. Breaking news, guys. Ripple is expanding into working capital lending for RippleNet customers. Now, this is a really, really cool thread. I don't want to read it verbatim because it's kind of long and drawn out, but essentially the points that he's making is for these remittance receivers and making sure that there's kind of a balance between buying pressure and selling pressure with on-demand liquidity, and specifically for XRP over the XRP ledger. Now, it's had some really, really good points, kind of incentivizing liquidity on both ends, equaling out the buying and selling pressure, and he worded it extremely, extremely well. This guy's smart. He was one of the former heads of XRP Center on the Twitter page before it got taken down. So again, must follow here. This is Arturo_P_A. And as we can see, so again, Ashish Birla of Ripple actually shared this, looking for a product director to bring in an entirely new RippleNet product offering to market loans. So they're doing lending, and it's a really, really interesting, almost like they had a plan. And I saw a tweet that Eric Dadun actually shared, and he said, once upon a time, Miguel Valles, again, formerly head of XRP markets, he was a former CME executive, implied that Ripple may use some XRP as a lender of last resort. And he was talking about the potential of lending as well. Now you fast forward, and now it's supposedly being built. It's as if they had a plan and are adjusting as needed and are executing it. We're not really shocked by that. And we've been saying this on this channel for a long time. Liquidity, okay, tons of buying and selling, a huge marketplace, plus infrastructure, custody, etc., the rails of payments, corridors, etc., and then everything else later. There is not a project in cryptocurrency at this time, and this is a quote by Eric Dadun, there isn't a project in crypto at the moment driven by anything other than speculation, be it hopes of a bull run, utility, or hopes, concerns, etc., traditional market lunacy. No one is building for price now. They are building depth. They want to build depth in the infrastructure, in the liquidity books, guys. Price comes from use cases that depth enables. And I thought that was really, worded well and eloquent, so I wanted to share that. Right, so again, here's the Ripple page with their careers showing this if you wanted to read about that. And then right here, guys, I wanted to give a shout out to Anders Lundberg again, or Lundberg. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. Must follow here on YouTube. I'm going to link his video in the top of this video description as well. Now, this is Miguel Valles, again, talking. In theory, over time, the more valuable XRP will become. Does some great things. I mean, showing the past. I just love his like short videos. They're like 2 minutes long, and they have some great nuggets of information for some people that might not have been around for a long time. And basically just talking about, this is back in the day, lending XRP to these market makers and the benefits for the market makers, the benefits for the ecosystem, kind of this catalyst that will basically benefit everything and everyone. It was absolutely fascinating, and I highly recommend you checking out and listening to this gentleman right here. All right. And we're going to finish up with this. So, JP Morgan provides banking services to crypto exchanges Coinbase and Gemini. So it seems like pretty big news. And just keep in mind, guys, the majority of RippleNet partners and these financial institutions, even banks, are all Goldman Sachs backed. So, you know, this is to tell you something. All right, so right here, JP Morgan Chase, the United States' largest bank, has reportedly taken on U.S. cryptocurrency exchanges Coinbase and Gemini as customers. You can see the report. Both exchanges were reportedly accepted in April, with transactions now starting to be processed. Now, pay attention to this. This is the key difference that people need to know. JP Morgan Chase is not processing Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency transactions on behalf of the exchanges, but it is providing cash management services and handling dollar transactions for their US-based clients. The banks will reportedly process all wire transfers in dollar deposits and withdrawals via the ACH network. All right. Now, remember the backbone of essentially the entire ACH network in the US, Nacha, and Ripple is connected with them and joined the Nacha Alliance back in 2014. You guys can kind of see, some of the macro connections, but believe me, when you look at the micro connections, it gets even crazier. So again, remember, Finastra's product, their payment platform, Pay Plus, Global Pay Plus, is a RippleNet integrated. CLS has already expressed and shown that they are integrated with Global Pay Plus. Now, we could talk about the DTCC as well, but again, one thing at a time. There's, some people that say yes, and some people that, disagree with settlement of, the DTCC, because that is quadrillions of dollars now, or well over $1 quadrillion, similar to kind of this foreign exchange market and SWIFT and all these big groups. But what you have to understand is whether that value, to the DTCC goes over, it still has to go and interoperate cross-border. And so that value essentially will still have the potential of going over the XRP ledger one way or another. We already talked about it. I mean, we even saw in Accenture $24 trillion per year. This is just global trade. We haven't really talked about R3 and trade finance. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So just wanted to get you guys in the gears turning a little bit. I'm sure if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you know your stuff, and hopefully you're learning along with me each and every day. But just wanted to make a few points there. It is my bet with this type of news, do not be surprised when JP Morgan and other groups actually custody cryptocurrency and they charge you a premium. So if you want to buy, Ethereum, and, they could charge, maybe another 10% or, 5% premium on the asset. Now you're holding your crypto in a bank account, or maybe this exchange is partnered with them. I'm not sure if they're going to be separate entities or merge, but it will be really interesting. So do not be surprised. I know, and this is something you guys are going to doubt, but I know for a fact that financial advisors are just waiting to have cryptocurrency index funds to sell to everyday people. For now, some of the old time, financial advisors, they have no idea what crypto is. They just, listen to what the news says and CNN, and they're just, think it's a volatile asset. And for some, they're completely right. But when the space matures and has true utility, and it's actually the utility ground floor is rising, XRP, Ethereum, some of the viable true utility tokens, settlement tokens, proof of stake tokens, for Oracle networks or etc. Guys, these are going to mature. There's going to be index funds. Everyone's going to be charging a premium for you to buy them. And remember, we were here first. We've been buying and accumulating, storing them securely. Do not leave your assets on exchanges. Again, remember, if you do not own the private keys you do not truly own the cryptocurrency, guys. Do not leave your assets on exchanges. We do a 50% off for the Ledger Nano S promotion that is ending in a few days. It's in the top of this video description. Now, one analogy I want to use and kind of use for any newcomers, I guess, if you haven't heard it, and hopefully I don't butcher this, but essentially think of, a ledger. We'll just use a blockchain, for example, as a highway, and all of the assets, all of the Bitcoin on that highway are the vehicles. Now, you are the owners, of course, and how do you access your vehicle or your Bitcoin? You have a key, and let's just say you have that key, you put it in the ignition. These are your private keys. No one else owns that copy of the key, so therefore, when you leave and your vehicle's locked, they may be able to see the car, they may be able to see your Bitcoin holdings because it is a public ledger, or a public, blockchain per se, but they cannot access them. So what happens is if you lose your key, you're out of luck. So you want to always make sure that you have your key. With your key, you put it in the ignition, you can move those assets around on the highway, but it will always exist on that specific highway. It can never disappear or be taken away from the highway, but you could potentially lose access to them. So you want to make sure that you're writing down private keys, you have them, you write them down, in multiple places, hide them, scatter them. Do not take pictures of passwords, leaving them, with the digital footprint. It's, you're basically just asking to be hacked. So things of that nature, guys. There's so many tips. I know on my other YouTube channel, and that link is also in the video description, I did a few kind of cybersecurity types of precautionary measures that you guys can take in the cryptocurrency market as well. And this is not meant to scare you by any means, but I just kind of want to inform any newcomers that might not, even understand what a blockchain is, let alone distributed ledger tech. So with that, guys, hopefully that makes some sense. And also, as a side note before I go, if anyone would like to create some free crypto t-shirt designs as PNG files for me, feel free to send them over to kevincage.yt@gmail.com. You can put in the subject line design submission. Thank you all for any and all support. Email submissions, that email is in the video description as well. And I will see you in the next video.